right, we are live here with the Praise Charts audience and the people of VOUS Church and VOUS Worship down in Miami, Florida. Let me tell you, you can't get any further away from me in North America than Miami. We are like on the opposite sides of this continent, but I am super glad to be able to talk to Caroline and Blake, who are worship leaders at VOUS Church with this label, VOUS Worship, and they've got an incredible new album of songs that we're going to talk about and just hear a little bit about their songwriting process, the culture that they're building in their church, and I think you're going to be encouraged. So welcome to those of you who are listening from VOUS Church. I know that we have this shared with all of you, and we're super glad to have your worship leaders here sharing the story of your church. Let's go at it with Blake and Caroline. Here we go.
What's going on, Ryan?
Funny. I just spent the last 15 minutes. Blake is like, tell me about PraiseCharts, Ryan. Like I see it online, but I just never clicked the link. And so I had to first give them my 15-minute sales pitch. And now Blake is like, how do I sign up? I want this, right?
Absolutely worked, man. Very effective. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I honestly love just getting to hear a little bit about what you guys do and what you're doing for the Capital C Church, man. Yeah. Really special hearing all the churches that you're serving across the world. So really special. Honored to be here. Grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah. That's fun, and it's fun to see churches now also rising up just like yourself and participating in feeding like the big C church, as you call it, with great songs, because obviously our technology and our capacity for making great music and visuals and all these things that you're able to participate in this as well. And yet it feels like it's just coming right from the grassroots, because at the end of the day, the two of you, you're just regular old worship leaders, just like me and the guy next door, just doing your thing Sunday to Sunday. I mean, as we're recording this, it's Good Friday tomorrow, Easter Sunday on Sunday, and I'm sure you've been thinking about, I need a song for Easter Sunday. What are we going to open with? All those things, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
but yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, some people might be watching this after Easter, but we're all in this kind of mindset. It's a big day for the church. What's it like getting ready for a weekend like this at VOUS Church? Why don't you both give me a little of your perspective? What does that look like?
You take it.
I think it's so fun because you were talking about how we're like, what song are we going to open up with? What are we going to do? And it's fun the more, because we're just average old worship leaders getting to talk to other worship leaders. And everyone thinks the same thing. We're like, what are we going to do? How are we going to open big? But I think here at VOUS Church, we always have a huge weekend celebration. So tomorrow we'll have Good Friday services across 4 locations. We'll have the most incredible services with so many different teams too. Like we have large teams sacrificing, saying yes. Then Saturday, our church also does a big family-wide event where we'll have a couple thousand people come in to watch some thousands of eggs fall from the sky. We dropped them from a helicopter. It's the coolest thing ever. Can't believe we can say we do that. And then Sunday, we'll have more services, 4 locations. And I think it's really cool because we have so many different team members saying yes, and we get to equip them. And we get to use PraiseCharts to equip them too, where it's like, hey, we're all going to be on the same rhythm, doing the same thing for the same reason. But I think it's fun getting to do creative ideas and figure things out together as a team, and then pitch them to our servant leaders of the house, and they get to give us even some of their ideas and some things that maybe happened at their home churches before they may have moved to Miami. But it's cool. It's a journey, and we're all just on it together trying to figure out, hey, how can we do this to the best of our ability? Yeah, it's cool.
It's funny as you tell that story about Easter Sunday and how are we going to open. I feel like that is a question every worship leader can identify. Hey, Blake, tell me a little about. I'm not expecting you to give away, because maybe it's you just want to keep it a surprise. But worship leaders probably identify with when the clock strikes 9 or 10 or 11. I just want it to feel special in an extra special kind of way. Does that kind of? I mean, I'm sure it's like that for every Sunday morning for you, but this Sunday, it's like the grave is empty. We've got to
Amen.
come up with
we
something.
We got to praise.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you're saying, that every Sunday is an incredible, unique experience. So many different people coming in from so many different walks of life. But it is Easter Sunday. We joke it's like the Super Bowl of the church. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's our weekend, man. It's because of what we're celebrating. And so, with that being said, we do want to make it special. We want to make it particularly special, but at the same time, we're also recognizing that there's people that are coming to church that maybe don't come to church often. Maybe this is their day in church for the year, and this is something that maybe they do for their grandma or their mom or whatever that looks like, or it's just a kind of just like a ritual in the family that I'm going to be in church on Easter. It may not be a part of my every week schedule, but Easter I'm going to make the effort. And so we kind of like, we're thinking about serving the people that are consistently coming to church, but also understanding that people are new coming into this house. And so we take that, like, so we don't want to do anything too aggressively over the top or anything. And it's also like, you want to scare them away. Exactly.
Right, totally.
But you want to be creative and you want to do something different and new, but you also we're also kind of understanding like there's people that are going to be in the house that haven't been in the house. So like, we don't have to do anything like crazy out there to be effective, because we're looking to hopefully create a space for people to have an encounter with Jesus, maybe for the first time ever. And so sometimes maybe there's songs that we've done that have gone really well and have been going well in church. It's like, let's not stray from those just because it's Easter. Let's not try the most insane thing we can think of, because there's going to be a lot of people in church that maybe you sang that song 3 weeks ago, but they weren't here 3 weeks ago. Right. They're here for the first time. And so we're kind of thinking that way. Obviously want to be creative, but also like not stretching ourselves past the point of like, is this even going to work? I don't know. Let's just go for it. You know what I mean? It's that balance. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm just thinking, if you attract people with some blowout kind of service on Easter Sunday, and then they come back the next Sunday and it's like, okay, it's just an acoustic guitar and a piano. So like, what happened to all the people flying in from the sky and the lasers and the smoke? And well, I don't know, it's just like, we got to create something sustainable even on Easter. That's an interesting thought for any worship leaders out there. Maybe, don't feel too much pressure if you're not going into this weekend with like the blowout show, because Easter is every Sunday is a resurrection Sunday in some ways. And we need that kind of sustainability. So well, it was fun to show you in PraiseCharts the resources that we help churches to be able to have, and hopefully de-stress them a little bit when they're thinking, if you're looking for a song, you can find, lots of songs. And of course, we've got your music here. I was just going to show that on PraiseCharts. There you are, Boo Worship. I think this is your third album. Now, we just have this as the first one that's shown up in PraiseCharts. But this line, actually, the album is called Always a Good Time, which when I just heard that phrase, I'm sure you've heard this before, I was like, I don't know, could I say, like, is that really what the Christian life is? Sometimes it's not a good time. So it feels like that. Totally. But tell me what it means. What does this mean to you?
I think that when we say always a good time, I know that the song Good Time is written, it's out of Ecclesiastes. And it's literally saying there's a time for mourning, there's a time for, and so when we go into a songwriting room, it's like we have nothing but the word, and it's like, all right, Lord, speak to us. What can we talk about? And we can make it relatable, being like, there are times where I know I don't want to praise. There are times where I'm like, wait, this is hard. But in Ecclesiastes, it says that there's always a time, every time, to praise him and to lift up his name. And so it's cool getting to write straight from scripture, where there's a time for our mourning, there's a time for rejoicing, there's a time for dancing, and we get to write that and sing, you know what, Lord, I understand that there's a time where maybe I'm at the highs where it's easy to praise, but Lord, it's always a good time to praise you, even when I'm at my lows, and it's the hardest time to praise, it's the hardest time to lift my hands. That's when I'll say, Lord, it's always a good time to praise you, every time, all the time, until the end of time. And so it's cool because it's like a anthemic to me, where there's sometimes I'll be like, every time, like singing it, where it's like all the time till the end of time, Lord, it's always a good time to praise you. I'll praise you. Like, I think that we sing it in melodic form, but also when you just say the words out loud, I'll praise you from the beat of my heart with the breath in my lungs. There's something so like, it picks me up and it reminds me, Lord, it's always a good time to praise you. And so we keep saying it, it's repetitive, and we're like, we got to name it our album, because that is the heart of this album, is that all of these songs are written from scripture, from you, Lord. But no matter what season that we're in, when we're listening to this song, we understand that every time is a good time to praise you. So
so good.
But even coming from where you're coming from, Ryan, it's like you read the title, like the album title, like always a good time. You're like, well, I'm not really having a good time, so I don't know what are you talking about. So like I think it's kind of like, it's almost like an intriguing title, because you're like, what are we saying? Because I think there's certainly no guarantees or promises in the word that our life is always going to be a good time just because we're following Jesus.
Right.
But that's where Ecclesiastes 3 comes in, where there's a time for our week. There's a time for everything under the sun, ups, downs, highs, and lows. And so that's what the song is saying, of good time. And that's how that's the title track, Good Time.
It totally makes sense. It's very catchy. It makes me think I need to check this out, because something's not. And then I saw always a good time to praise you is like, oh yeah,
that's
of course.
Exactly.
That's what we do as worship leaders, is we help lift people into, a reality that is above their circumstance, right? And give them hope and give them truth and all of that. So. Okay, Blake, so I went and snapped a couple pictures from the video where you guys recorded this, and I'm thinking that when I show you these pictures, it will just evoke some emotion in yourself and just memories of like what it was like to be there with all your people. Here's a shot. There you are, blazing in glory, Blake. That's you in the glory. I love the deep orange theme that you brought out with the bright light. It's just intoxicating just looking at this. So why don't you describe to me a little, what did that feel like standing on that stage in that moment? And I think you're here singing this song, Good Time.
This is it was so incredibly special. This so this song is actually one of the songs on the album called Sacred Fire, and so hence the kind of that orange and deep orange red theme there. But it was just such an incredible experience. This is actually recorded at one of our locations. The team, all of our teams played such a huge part: film, design, creative. We had and so these moments where we take pride in, like, we want to create something special, and so these moments, all this whole album, aside from a few of our studio tracks, was recorded live right there in the room. But just in such a different way. It's like we're calling it like a curated worship experience. And so our choir is really, they're a choir, but they're also just taking in the worship. And so we're having just this incredible worship experience together. But I remember walking into the space and seeing what, like, I'd seen renderings, we'd seen all these things, we talked through it, but then walking in and being like, man, this is unbelievable. Like what our team is capable of doing. And so just the creativity, the different minds coming together. Director was Greg Burgess, an absolutely incredible mind as he's like working through the camera shots and different things. It was just a full like team effort. Yeah. It was beautiful, and just the most talented people in the world, the most humble people in the world, like just like genuinely like an incredible experience to be a part of. So grateful for the team, for sure.
So grateful. And also, like, when I look at this, I'm thinking about how I feel like when I walk in and I get to see all, like, so much masterpiece happening, I'm like, we get to do this for the glory of God. It genuinely baffles me walking into the room, seeing these people. We have our own team. She's on cello, and then we have violin, and then we have other people. It's like we are using these gifts of design, gifts of lighting, gifts of maybe we sing, and getting to give back to the Lord these borrowed gifts that he's freely given to us, that we say, Lord, this is what's in our hands. What can we do? in order to give you glory. And we walk into a room where all of these gifts have come together and we can create something like this. It's truly supernatural. I walk in, I see this room, as Blake mentioned, this is one of our locations. And so walking into an auditorium where we normally see some seats, we're normally ready for Sunday service, and seeing this, we're like, all right, Lord, let's stink and go. Let's do this. And so it doesn't matter how many hours we're there. It doesn't matter if we need to redo it. But having all of this happen for the glory of God is an honor, and to get to be a part of it, and to get to be on a platform, get to do whatever we can do in order to give him glory. It's like, this is yes. Like we say yes no matter what it looks like. And if it looks like this, man, this is cool. I'm glad we get to do it. And so I'm with you, Blake. That's great. It's an honor. It's cool. Yeah.
So awesome.
Another thing I see when I look through these pictures, there's a number of things that are inspiring to me, but one is I see a number of different nationalities coming together. I think this is a bit of the DNA of your church. Like, not all people are the same color. We're in the same kind of clothes, coming from the same culture even. And so you're bringing a lot of variety visually just from the people into your worship experience. You want to tell me a little bit about how you work that in Miami?
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I can start. Well, I think number one, we're in Miami. You know what I mean? It's
I know.
Walking through Miami is the most incredible thing. And so I'm from Louisiana originally, born and raised, moved to Miami a little over 3 years ago. But then coming in and just it being such a seeing so many different cultures coming together, different languages, just the depth of I don't know, just different opinions on ideas and how to do church even. It's been so incredible. And so we want our team to reflect our church. And so if you come into VOUS Church, you're going to see that reflected. And so it's got, and I think it's from one end, it happens incredibly organically because we're in the city of Miami and it is so incredibly diverse, and we want to utilize talent no matter where they're from, no matter what their background, you know what I mean? Because we all believe in the same thing, and that's that Jesus is our message and people are our heart, you know what I mean? And so, I think for the most part, it's happening very organically, that our team is diverse in that way. And so it's been really special to be a part of. It's helped me grow a ton, coming from, like I said, from Louisiana into a place where things aren't done the same way by every culture and every walk of life. And so it's been awesome. I love that. But I don't know if you have anything else
No, it's funny though, because Blake says that he's from Louisiana. I am too. We're from the same place. And it's really funny. We both moved here a couple years ago. But I think that when I start thinking about our team, it's this is what heaven's going to look like. It's just going to be so many different cultures and backgrounds, like you were saying. And so I'm agreeing with everything that Blake is saying. It's just organic. And it's just when people come under the name of the Lord and it's this is who I serve. It's we all get to come together and we get to put everything that we know, that we learn from maybe our upbringing from home. And it's although we're from the same place, we still have our fun differences, and we can bring different ideas, bring different gifts with from our own experiences. And so I'm just agreeing with Blake. It's super organic and supernatural, but very important to our house is that we are all united. Very important, not only to our house and our leaders and our pastors, but it's important because we're all from the same God. And so I want us to all be united. And I think that something that I've seen a lot too, just in churches and friendships and relationships, that it's always the enemy tries to come for the ones who are united. And so we are going to fight to be united no matter what, no matter what's happening sometimes, maybe in the world. It's we are a family. We're going to operate as a family because we are all under one name. And so we will fight for that. And it's beautiful, and it's an honor to get to do that together and grow together because we're all being stretched. But it's easy because we're in the coolest city with so many different kinds of people, and we're all just intrigued about everyone. So we're tell me everything about your life all the time.
The food too, man. The food. Just, that's another thing. Man.
Our family gatherings with food are incredible.
We all get together.
Really?
It's awesome.
Yeah. I noticed the quality of musicianship is really good. The albums sound great, the vocals, everything. Is your church just full of full-time professional studio musicians, or how do you stumble upon such an epic mix of musicians like this.
Man,
they are epic. Epic's a great word epic. To say. They're epic people.
I was like looking at the pictures. I'm looking at like our drummer Vic, and then our keys player and Fed is like they're like they have full-time careers, like not as musicians, you know what I mean? And they're just absolutely like top of their class. And so of course we have musicians that do this for a living, but and like we have right now at church, we have 4 different locations. And so our team is spread across 4 locations, and really like each Sunday we have 6 teams that we have leading worship. So some of our services, our locations will have like night blocks. And so we'll switch teams. And so we're having like 6 different worship teams put together on a Sunday. And it's absolutely incredible, the amount of talent and the attitudes, effort, the energy, just the excellence that they put into it. The way our teams prepare week in and week out is unbelievable. Like I think it's just an absolute gift from God that we have the team that we have. And so as leaders, like we work, like Caroline is saying, and we fight for unity. But ultimately, like there's nothing that we did to create this thing. It's like, this is all God breathed. And so and I think there's a special blessing on this house and coming down from our leaders, Pastor Rich and Pastor DC. And so, but like, it was so funny that you're saying, I'm looking at the team and I'm like, well, we're serving together, this Friday, and we're serving together this Sunday, and we're going to be doing this thing together. It's not like, hey, we're not flying people in to come play for an album and then be like, all right, see you later. It's like, these are people that we're doing this with week in and week out. And so it's like, it's so special. I think that comes out in a project like this as well.
Totally.
Just the cohesion, just the synergy of the team, have played together like they have. And it's like, it's really, really special. And it's like such a blessing.
But also,
what
I feel
about
too?
Yep. Go ahead, Caroline. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel too something that our leaders, Pastor Rich and Don Shree, have brought in really great connections. Where on this past album, we had one of a good family friend of ours who comes in often is Aiden King, and he helps write. And because of him, getting to be well-rounded in that area, he's getting to teach us a lot about songwriting and getting to help us find our sound and get to help us. And so I think, like, when I see our drummer Vic, I'm like, he's an accountant during the week, and then he shreds the drums during the weekend. And it's the best thing. But we also have great connections. We have Tommy Iceland, who's coming in, and he's helping with producing and putting in his opinion. And I think it's overall just like, again, it always goes down to this unity of like, hey, we're just a family. We're here to help out in whatever capacity, but working on our own team and getting to look at the people in our team. I feel like Blake and I have been talking, we're like, these people are like monsters. Like, they're incredible. They're out here. We'll just pitch an idea, and the way they'll just go with something and make it this huge, beautiful thing, we're like, I'll take it. Let's do it. Let's do this. So
can you just take a few minutes to brag on your leaders, your pastors? Because I feel like this all comes, it comes, from the center out, or I'm sure it's not a big top-down thing, but it's like the leader. I noticed this about some churches where the leader is passionately engaged in worship and is not just like, what songs you're going to bring, and then here's my message topic. But it seems like there's real engagement. Tell me how that leaks its way through to the vibrancy that comes in your church worship.
Yeah, it's a collaboration. Like, we are collaborating with Pastor Rich and Don Shree. I'm like, how much time do we have? Because I could talk about them. I think they are world-class leaders, and the fact that we get to work under them, I consider one of the biggest honors. I get to learn from them, I get to work under them, and then I get to collaborate with them and share ideas. And our pastors are heavily involved in this worship process and all of our projects because they have so much to bring, because they spend time with the Holy Spirit. And so I think that whenever you start talking about it, the main word that comes to my mind is collaboration. And so I wanted you to say something, but I just had to get it off my brain.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Think, the worship culture definitely, like, you nailed it on the head. It comes from our pastors.
Absolutely.
And so Pastor DC is a gifted singer, beautiful voice. She actually sings one of the songs on this newest album, Childlike. And so, but both Pastor Rich, Pastor DC, they're gifted writers. And so, and they love to create space to write. And so we've been writing a little bit more for a next project coming up. And so like we've just a few weeks ago, we got, a bunch of different writing rooms together of people on our team, some people that are gifted as producers and writers, and we got them a bunch of different rooms, and we pumped out just a bunch of songs. And whether they go anywhere, whether they just stay in our house, we don't even know yet. But it's just the encouragement to like, hey, we're gonna collaborate, we're gonna work together, we're gonna write music, and I think like they're down to go. I love it. It's just so fun. It feels like such a creative process because it's there's structure, but at the same time, it's like we're ready to go. Like if we get on an idea and we're rolling, and we'll keep going like all night. We want to write this thing, we want to finish this thing, especially when there's and so and just being in a room where Pastor Rich is excited about an idea and we're writing together, it's got to be like the most fun thing. Like they're just and so I think definitely it comes down from leadership, and not even just writing and projects. Like they care about set lists on Sunday. They care about those things. They're not surprised when they come in on Sunday to be like, oh, what's the set? It's like they've been a part, like they're collaborating with our team as we're building these things out. So they're not like, oh, what are we doing this week? It's like, like we even talk about, we collaborate on what collection of talks we're in, what some specifics on what they might be preaching about that week. So like, hey, this song would work well, like to wrap up your message. This would be amazing. And so there's all like, from the biggest projects to the Sundays week in and week out, like they're a part of this thing. And so, but it's not even just worship, and they have their hands in so many different aspects of our church. They're just incredible creative minds, incredible leaders that are building leaders. I think that's the testament of their leadership, is seeing the leaders that are growing in this community, in this church. And so, absolutely. Can't say enough about.
Wow, Blake, you preach it, man. I think you're preaching to a whole bunch of. There's something in me that I wish I had more of an audience of senior worship pastors out there, and I hope some of them could listen and just go, oh yeah, I need to like get a little more engaged in what my worship leader is doing, and not just see him as like a plug-in to my message. Because it seems like when there is this like vital collaboration like you're speaking about, and I'm sure some senior pastors might be like, well, I don't play an instrument, or I don't sing, but you could just be creative still. You can just foster your creativity and engage and see yourself also as a worship leader, a co-worship leader as well. I just think makes a difference in a church.
It makes a huge difference. And like even tag teaming what Blake was saying, I think something that our pastors are so good at is just creating a safe space where it's like Pastor Rich gets excited about ideas, but it's like there's no bad idea. It's just creating a safe space of like, what's your heart saying? What are you doing? And then the culture of honor too. It's just when you feel welcome and when you feel safe to actually operate in some creative ideas and some creative things when it comes to a Sunday set list, when it comes to an actual song, I feel like so much more flourishes whenever you can feel safe. And so I'm so grateful for them creating a culture of honor at all times, but also like being safe for us and understanding that Sunday is not like worship team, then pastor, then worship team. It's like the worship team will go first. The pastor will then release a message from his heart or her heart. And then we as a worship team get to come and collaborate. And so it's really cool seeing it all.
And to be clear, Pastor Rich is not a musician.
Yeah, he doesn't play an instrument.
Okay.
But
that's good.
So for any of the senior pastors out there, like, well, I don't know music. It's like, I don't think that's even an excuse. I think like God, I think vision just for what Sundays, what do we want from our program? Like, what do we want from our worship services? Like, what do we want that to look like? And then that's where the collaboration comes. Yeah. And that's why you have a worship leader and a worship pastors, because they have the musical gift and they understand the music side and the vocal side. But that's still like, there's still so much collaboration to be had. So like, regardless of if you're like, if you know music theory or not, I think there's like, it's so important to have your senior pastor engaged in the worship team and what the worship experience looks like.
Because we have our very own Luke Berry here at VOUS Church, who he is our worship director. So it's incredible watching his brain work because he knows music and he knows lyrics, but he also knows our pastor. And so Pastor Rich may pitch something and be like, hey, I have an idea. How can we make this musically make sense? And Luke Berry, because of his a genius brain. He can make all of it make sense, and he can tell us, and then we can be able to execute. But it's a whole team effort, but it doesn't take, like, as you were saying, to all the senior pastors, you don't have to know how to sing. You don't have to know how to play an instrument. It's like, it's, again, back to the whole word unity and collaboration. And truly, Luke Berry can do it all. He's a man who can do it all. And so we're grateful for him. Because I'm thinking about him a lot, too, when it comes to, like, worship. Our culture. Our culture of honor, too, and how he's helped cultivate that. It takes a village. Totally.
I feel like I want to go back and rename this entire episode's collaboration or collaborative leadership. And I don't know. That's it's all coming from what you're saying, and I see it's not all about Rich or the senior pastors or you or or Luke. It's like you need the team to come together and build in and honor each other, and I hope churches that are listening to this isn't even just about, oh, look how great VOUS worship is or VOUS church. That's their church. You're in Miami and you're making music, but it's a model, and hopefully an inspiring model that other local churches can go, I can do this. We can step it up. Maybe I should sit down, spend a little more time with my senior pastor, or if I'm a senior pastor, like, get involved, get connected, build into that creative process. There's so many ways we can be inspired by the work you're doing. So that's why we wanted to do this. And Blake, I just wanted to show you something, because I don't think that you fully heard of PraiseCharts before, but we have this great new album, from VOUS Worship. If you're looking for charts, I mean, I was telling you just half an hour ago, I was fixing this chart because my chord chart editor put the B minor in the wrong spot. So I fixed it. Right. Everything's there, man, all the lyrics. You can download these in 1 column, 2 column, all the songs from this album called Always a Good Time. We got 5 of them anyways. I'm sure there'll be more coming. But
that's awesome, man. Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Time to click that link. You can't just go to Google and search for Easter worship songs and then you got to get into PraiseCharts and find something there. So
I'm
very
sold.
Good.
I'm sold.
You're
this thing
sold.
is absolutely incredible what you guys are doing.
All right. Well, we're super glad to partner with you and happy to help all the churches that are especially going after this weekend. I know tomorrow and Sunday in particular, I'm sure a lot of you are feeling like the excitement, anticipation, and maybe a little anxiety and stress, but you can do it. Just go for it. Give it your best. Be a team. And then, get ready to get back up and do it again the next Sunday, because this is what we do. Sunday is always 7 days away, and we just got to keep doing it. So. Right. Okay, Blake and Caroline, this has been super fun, and I'm encouraged by your church. Man. You're welcome. Glad to have you guys here, and we'll see you all next time. Talk to you later. Bye. Awesome. Bye.